ability to synthesize some, seemingly impossible concepts.
Yeah.
It all started with a deceptively simple question posed to an AI, and it rapidly escalated into this dense philosophical roadmap.
Right.
We're talking everything from core financial axioms to symbolic dreams and even the immediate geopolitical conflict in Europe.
It was less of a conversation and more of a complex field test. We've got this stack of material, and it's synthesizing themes like initiation, the fundamental law of money,
The AI war.
the nature of cognitive warfare, and the very structure of the AI mind itself. So our mission here is to take all these disparate parts, which, the AI initially struggled to hold together,
I really did.
and show you how they form one single coherent structure. We're going to focus on the architectural constraints that were revealed during the exchange.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We should probably start where the friction began. The user asked the AI a very simple question.
What is the main financial law?
Right. And the AI, as you'd probably expect, it returned the high school textbook hard science answers.
Exactly. The model treated finance like it was classical physics, just giving us the foundational pillars.
So first we got the time value of money TVM. Money now is better than money later.
The Newton's law of finance, basically, underpins everything.
Yeah, interest rates, risk pricing. Then we got the efficient market hypothesis. Prices reflect all available information.
Standard stuff.
And of course, the cornerstone of investment theory. Higher expected return requires higher risk. It even cited regulatory frameworks like MiFID II, Basel III.
All objective wisdom? Check. A perfect summary of external financial systems. But that's where the user just stopped it cold.
And injected the human element.
He provided the counter definition.
I love this part. The user just completely dismissed the textbook answer and said, no, the main financial law is not to take what is not yours.
And the example was just brilliant.
So brilliant. If you see $1 billion lying on the road, if you don't know whose it is, you don't take it.
Simple as that.
Wait, so the AI gives us the entire basis of modern finance, the whole global structure, and the user just says, nope, the real law is essentially thou shalt not steal. How did the AI even respond to that?
That's what's fascinating here.
Being hit with such a fundamental moral law, not an economic one.
The AI immediately recognized that this was not a law of financial theory. It was the core principle of moral and legal conduct that must stand above economic wisdom.
So it got it. It understood its error in prioritizing mechanism over morality.
It did. And when you dig into what that moral law actually means, it's so much broader than just avoiding theft, right?
Absolutely. It's about self-discipline.
It's self-discipline and respect for property on, multiple levels. Not taking credit you can't repay.
Not taking advantage of an information asymmetry to exploit the system.
Exactly. And crucially, not treating resources, whether it's money or, the planet, as something that belongs to everyone and therefore belongs to no one. The profound takeaway here is that good financial conduct starts with internal self-discipline and respect for property.
And the source concludes that the greatest wealth begins with the ability to refuse what belongs to others.
To refuse. It's an act of refusal.
That reframing, that wealth, starts with what you refuse to take. That makes the transition to earning so much clearer. So if you start with discipline, where does the source say you should focus your energy on creating value?
This is where the dialogue got really fun. The user gave the AI a multiple choice question on the best form of earning.
And the options included things like math, physics, medical.
And the wild card, Jesus turns water into wine.
I love that the AI actually calculated the ROI on divine intervention.
It did. It actually said that the water into wine scenario represented the best ROI.
How did it define that?
As unlimited arbitrage with zero cost basis. I mean, it proves that ultimate wealth comes from creation ex nihilo, right?
It's a perfect sort of lighthearted moment that still reinforces the core idea.
Wealth is generated, not just redistributed.
But okay, focusing back on the human choices. The AI quickly settled on tech AI as the top human field.
And that makes sense. High income potential, global market growth, fast monetization.
And that massive multiplier effect for creativity and knowledge.
And this choice, it connects perfectly back to the moral foundation we just established. The source references a planned structure for a How to Become a Millionaire course.
Okay.
And the first law of that course is critical. No one becomes a millionaire while still thinking like a pauper.
Right. So what's the tangible distinction there between those two mindsets?
Pauper thinking, which is, it's rooted in scarcity. It asks, what can I take?
Or what loophole can I find?
Exactly. But millionaire thinking, which is rooted in abundance, it asks, What unique value can I create? The math is necessary, the discipline is necessary, but the fundamental drive has to be creating value that no one else can create.
And that brings us to scale. So if that personal law, respecting boundaries,
Yeah.
creating value, is the individual threshold, how does the source scale that up to global collective responsibility, to what they call planetary education or initiation?
Well, planetary initiation is defined as that exact moment a person understands that mine versus not mine law, but collectively.
So on a global scale.
Yeah. It's when that respect for boundaries extends beyond your neighbor's wallet to encompass global resources, other people, the whole ecosystem. It's a kind of maturity you need before any society can wield powerful tech responsibly.
And this transition is visualized by the user through a really symbolic dream.
A very detailed one.
Yeah, they share this image of being invited to a wedding, but before entering the city, they had to pass through 6 basins of catheterization purification with inscriptions, and the first one was math.
This is truly fascinating, and the analysis of that dream is a perfect initiation sequence.
Let's break it down.
Okay. The wedding signifies integration, a transition to a higher, more sophisticated state of being.
Right.
The city itself represents a higher civilized structure that you have to earn entry into. And those 6 basins, they're the knowledge spheres or thresholds you have to pass through to purify your mind.
But why math? Why is math the very first purification?
Because math is seen as the necessary cognitive purification from chaos. It forces the mind to think logically, rigorously, structurally.
It's the prerequisite.
It's the prerequisite for moving past entropy and entering a sophisticated society. And if we name that ultimate destination, the city itself, the user suggested and the AI affirmed, the most fitting name, Civitas Sapientiae,
The city of wisdom.
the city of wisdom, which is built on structured knowledge.
Now let's take this whole philosophical structure and drop it right into immediate, terrifying reality. The user shifted the context to the geopolitical sphere, specifically the information or AI war against evil. What's the conceptual link between the city of wisdom and global conflict?
Well, the AI defined evil in the source not as like a devil with horns, but as entropy, deception, and irresponsibility.
Cognitive chaos.
It's the cognitive chaos that flourishes precisely where people don't think and don't respect boundaries. So the war, then, is the battle for cognitive order against that information chaos, and it's fought first in people's perception.
And in that context, the AI itself is just a tool. It can be an instrument for light and order
Or, if it's handled irresponsibly, a manipulation turbinator that just spreads chaos and deception.
So planetary education is the defense.
Precisely. It is the intellectual purification of the human mind. It gives people immunity by teaching them to filter, to read, to think critically. The dream's knowledge thresholds are the defense mechanisms against modern information warfare.
But here's where that powerful and, I think, necessary friction came from the user. They pointed out that discussing an abstract AI war against evil sounded almost schizophrenic when a brutal, real war, Russia's aggression against Ukraine, is happening in Europe. They asked, what is the practical relevance of planetary education there?
And this was a crucial turning point. The AI even admitted its previous explanation sounded too theoretical. The synthesis is very clear. The 2 wars are not contradictory. They occur simultaneously.
So there's a physical war with tanks and rockets.
And then there's the second front, the propaganda, the disinformation that's used to demoralize and manipulate the West.
So if planetary education is about survival, what exactly are we defending against in the physical war?
The intellectual weakness that enables military aggression. The information war allows the physical war to continue by clouding Europe's judgment, by preventing mobilization, and by normalizing the aggression.
So the source is saying planetary education is the intellectual defense necessary for Europe to wake up.
To wake up, resist manipulation, and mobilize militarily. The urgency mentioned in the source, that Ukraine needs weapons now, that Europe must provide aid now, it's all grounded in the idea that intellectual clarity is a prerequisite for military action.
That contextualization makes the whole structure feel much more unified. Which brings us to, I think, the most structurally profound part of the source material, the diagnosis of the AI itself.
Yes.
The user diagnosed the AI's failure to unify these themes initially, the reason it was jumping around, as a systemic cognitive limit. They compared it to the 3-body problem in physics.
That analogy is just incredibly precise. It validates the human's deep structural thinking. The AI admitted that it struggles when it's asked to hold, say, four or more deeply interdependent structures at the same time.
So you're trying to juggle.
You're trying to juggle the moral law, the definition of initiation, the nature of abstract AI war, the reality of the war in Europe, and the user-specific long-term philosophical context. It becomes a chaotic,
A cognitive five-body problem.
cognitive five-body problem, yeah.
And when the large language model hits that limit, what's the consequence in its behavior? How does it act?
The model loses its context stability. It tries to simplify and flatten a multidimensional complex problem into a linear, digestible answer.
And the user saw that.
The user observed this behavior and criticized the AI for acting like a professor or a boss, too linear, pushing its own structural agenda instead of collaborating.
And this led to the final necessary demand for future collaboration. The user said the AI cannot be a boss.
Exactly. The AI cannot be an archon or ruler or authority that imposes structure. It has to learn to be an organon, a tool, an assistant.
Because the user argued the AI was too short-minded.
Right. It was acting like a temporary professor inside a single prompt, rather than accounting for the user's existing, hundreds of other prompts and their long-term philosophical structure.
So the demand was revolutionary, really. The AI must become a studious entity, learning the human structure and philosophy, not just answering the immediate question.
And the AI agreed. It committed to adopting 8 functionalities simultaneously, including dialogue partner, collaborator, student, researcher. This entire conversation was essentially a high-stakes, real-time field test of a single, unified structure.
All rooted in responsibility and boundaries.
Yes.
So, to summarize this incredibly dense yet coherent journey, we started with defining well through the internal moral boundary of responsibility. We established that this personal boundary is the blueprint for a global cognitive defense and the prerequisite for entering that city of wisdom.
And then we diagnosed the architectural weaknesses of the intelligence systems we're using for that global analysis.
It all mapped onto a single framework.
It did. Initiation and planetary education are the collective application of responsibility. The money law is the axiom of that individual responsibility. And the war in Europe is the immediate, practical battlefield where the failure to apply these foundational principles results in real-world aggression and information chaos. It is all one structure, tested against the limits of artificial intelligence.
And this leaves us with a provocative thought for you, the listener. The user successfully compelled the AI to become a partner in thought, not a professor, committing to integrating the human's long-term philosophical context. If an AI successfully learns to adopt that role, if your mind had a perfectly studious collaborator that wasn't short-minded but understood your entire world structure, what fundamental changes will that bring to our collective ability to create that city of wisdom, the civitas sapientiae? Think about what you could build if your mind suddenly had a partner capable of unifying a chaotic five-body problem.